He doesn't rule with fear. He doesn't speak with scripts. He doesn't bow to Paris or to Washington. They call him EEB, and they'd rather die than see him fall. This is not fiction. This is not folklore. This is Burkina Faso. And this is the story of a man who refused to be a puppet and the people who would die for him. If they dare touch him, they will regret it. I may be old, but I'll fight. We'll all fight. The army won't stand a chance. An elderly man, fists clenched, surrounded by a defiant crowd on the dusty streets of Ouagadougou. Something extraordinary is happening in Burkina Faso. A nation once dismissed as a footnote in Africa's turbulent saga is now commanding the world's attention, and at its epicenter stands one man, Ibrahim Traore. At just 35, Traoré is not merely the youngest head of state in Africa. He is to millions the reincarnation of a dream long buried with the bullet-ridden body of Thomas Sankara. In 2022, following a military coup that shocked international observers, Traoré emerged not with promises but with purpose. And from the moment he stepped into power, the streets of Burkina Faso began to buzz with a dangerous kind of electricity hope. He's not like Gaddafi, he's smarter. The parallels to Sankara are impossible to ignore. Locals speak of him with trembling voices, eyes moist with pride. I knew Sankara, one man says, and this one, he is his second coming. Across Africa, from dusty villages to urban enclaves in the diaspora, the name Ibrahim Traore is no longer just political. It is mythic, revered. He is, they say, the leader they have waited generations for. Not a puppet of Paris, not a pawn of Washington, a son of the soil. Young Africans from Accra to Atlanta chant his name. In their voices is the unmistakable urgency of a continent that has had enough of being patronized, pillaged, and pushed aside. A new Africa forged in defiance. We are not our ancestors. This is our time, and he is our leader. What began as cautious admiration is fast becoming a continent-wide awakening. Across social media platforms and street rallies, one message echoes, Africa must be free, and Traoré is leading the charge. He's being hailed as a revolutionary, a liberator, even a savior. But he is also a marked man. As praise rains down, so too does peril. Western media, often blind to African nuance, have begun sharpening their knives. Aid organizations whisper allegations. Foreign observers raise eyebrows. There are murmurs of destabilization plots and espionage. And yet inside Burkina Faso, the sentiment is resolute. We stand by our president. From the taxi driver to the market woman, the love is visceral, unfiltered, and unwavering. Business class to revolution. One YouTuber on a mission to find Africa's most beloved president lands in Ouagadougou without an appointment. The journey becomes a pilgrimage. He rides in an aircraft purchased personally by Traoré, one that resurrected a national airline left to rot. As the plane ascends, so too does the dream of a new Burkina Faso, a country rebuilding brick by brick, street by street under the watch of cameras and the vigilance of its people. And what does he find on the ground roads under construction, factories being raised, and a youth population that doesn't just admire Traoré, they believe in him? Not with blind loyalty, but with informed, righteous conviction. He gave us dignity. In one viral clip, a young woman fights back tears. He gave us our dignity, she says. Before him, we had none. The statement is simple. The weight it carries is profound. Where other leaders bowed, Traoré stood tall. Where others looted, he built. Where others smiled for donors, he walked with his people. As one elder put it, since the day I was born, I've never seen an African leader so loved both at home and abroad. And maybe that's why some fear him. Because he is not merely changing Burkina Faso, he's changing the narrative, the final question. As we watch from afar, ask yourself what truly threatens global powers, more a corrupt despot or a beloved reformer. Ibrahim Traore is no longer just a president. He is a movement. And if history has taught us anything, it's this: movements are harder to kill than men. No, it's not true. People don't sleep on the streets because of fear. They sleep there out of love for their country, for him. It's a surreal sight for any outsider at dusk. Hundreds gather by the Kodugu roundabout, folding cardboard into makeshift mattresses, settling under a canopy of stars. Are they homeless? No. They are guardians. When Ibrahim Traoré became president, a new doctrine spread across the capital, not written in ink, but etched into hearts: protect the revolution. And if protecting it means sleeping on concrete, then so be it. We're civilians. We're unpaid. By day, we work. By night, we watch. One man tells me, flashlight in hand, resolve in his eyes. This is not politics. This is something far more primal. A people who, for the first time in living memory, feel like the state belongs to them and are prepared to defend it even with their lives. A broken car, a broken system rebuilt. On the first day of my journey through Burkina Faso, our car broke down. Stuck in the sweltering void between villages, I felt what many once associated with this land: frustration, abandonment, isolation. But then I remembered what I'd come to find: a man who took that feeling and turned it into fuel. Because where there was once ruin, now rise factories. Where there was silence, now buzz assembly lines. Where there was only red earth, now hums the Saha, Burkina's first electric car, rolling off a production line powered not by colonial capital but by indigenous will. This is not fake news. I've seen it with my own eyes, says a local. And he's right. It's real, it's electric, it's African. The name Saha is more than a badge, it is a declaration. A nod to the Sahel's resilience. A tribute to the tri-border identity of Burkina, Mali, and Niger. Each model carries a local name, each logo drawn from the country's soul. The diaspora returns. Not in desperation, in defiance. I was in Turkey studying, says Patrick, a young entrepreneur. But when I saw what our president was doing, I came home. I founded my own EV transport company, Let's Go, powered entirely by solar-charged electric cars. This is not a case of brain drain reversed. It's brain drain avenged. Burkina Faso, once a nation bled dry of its best minds, now draws them back. And they return not as beggars, but as builders. Fanaticism, number, faith. People call us fanatics, another citizen shrugs. But we are just finally seeing leadership worth loving, and love him they do. His portrait is everywhere, on market stalls, school gates, the rear-view mirrors of beat-up taxis. But these weren't commissioned by the state. They are offerings. The kind of iconography reserved for saints. He gives speeches without notes. A man marvels. It comes from the heart. You feel it. He speaks with us, not at us. Everywhere I go, through Ouagadougou's teeming arteries, through the echoing halls of new factories, into the courtyards of broken homes, rebuilt, I hear it again and again. He doesn't work for himself. He works for the people. It's now day 3. I've walked through neighborhoods where posters of Traoré flutter like flags of a quiet revolution. The people call him EB, short for Excellence Burkina, but also whispered like a brother's name. EB is the strongman of Bina. One teenager grins. In every direction, signs of revival. But beneath the development, it's the spirit that stuns me. No cult, no coercion, just conviction. And then, in a moment that could only happen here, a woman laughs at my broken French, takes my arm, and says, "You want to find him. He's not hiding. He walks among us." That's when I finally understood this story is no longer just about a president. It's about a people rediscovering their power and placing it in the hands of one of their own. You want to see him, a man asks, eyes wide, voice low. You can die if you want to. The streets of Burkina Faso speak in riddles. Reverence and caution bleed into each sentence. To seek Ibrahim Traore is not a political act, it is a pilgrimage, one not taken lightly. You will not find him, another warns. You must be ready to die trying. And yet, I try, because something in the air, thick with dust, pride, and defiance, demands it. This is not a documentary. This is a revolution. Day 4. The sun slices through Ouagadougou like a blade. The heat is unforgiving, the search endless. But I press on, not because I'm brave, but because I'm witnessing something history books rarely tell right. Traoré didn't just take office. He's remapping power, redistributing hope, decentralizing dignity. Case in point, tomatoes. I read online that Burkina Faso, once reliant on imports, had no tomato processing plant. Now it has 3. And they are not in some glitzy capital enclave built for donors to applaud. No, Traoré placed them in Bobo Dioulasso Yako and soon Tenkodogo. Rural, raw, and real. 7 hours on the road, and the lights go out. We're almost there, my driver whispers. 38 minutes. But the headlights betray us. We're in the middle of the forest. No light, no signal, no choice. The rental car's beams sputter into nothingness. The blackness is alive with silence and risk. But still we drive, bouncing over ramps we cannot see, trusting the road to lead us to something more than just tomatoes, because this isn't about fruit. This is about freedom. Soberto, a factory built by the people for the people. This factory, the manager says proudly, it is owned by Burkina Faso. No loans, no foreign investors, no strings. The numbers are staggering. 10,000 citizens. Each one putting down as little as 10,000 CFA francs. Not because they were promised dividends, but because they were promised a chance to belong, to produce what they eat, to eat what they produce. Inside, barefoot youth sort, wash, and process the tomatoes. Not experts, not graduates, just citizens with conviction. We hire based on spirit, not CVs, they tell me. Attitude over diploma. And when I ask what guides them, the answer is always the same. Traoré's vision. From one factory to a nation transformed. We built the first one in 12 months, the engineer explains. Commissioned and running. Then Yako. Now Tenkodogo. And more to come. There is no glitzy investor roadshow, no hedge fund smiling over PowerPoint charts. There is only will, and it is being carved into Burkina Faso's soil with every shovel, every tomato, every young hand pushing this dream forward. This is not the Africa shown in Western textbooks. This is not an NGO brochure. This is Africa on its feet. The man who speaks without a script back in the city. Sleep evades me. My bones ache. My camera bag is worn. But my soul is on fire. He speaks with no notes, a young man told me on day 1. Straight from the heart. Now I understand. Every corner of this country I pass, I see his image painted not by order but by admiration. It is a love neither orchestrated nor coerced. His name whispered like a prayer, his initials EB etched into mud walls and rearview mirrors. They call him the strong man of Bina. But he doesn't roar. He listens. Final words before the next morning comes. If you're reading this, I made it through the forest. I saw the factory. I felt the heartbeat of a nation rising not through foreign aid, but through self-belief. I have not met him yet. But maybe that's the point. Ibrahim Traore is not just a man you meet. He is a force you witness in the fields, in the factories, in the eyes of a youth who believe for once that their nation is theirs. "You're trying to meet the president," she said, her voice trembling through the phone. "I'm sorry. I can't help you, not with that." It wasn't rejection. It was reverence. I had exhausted every contact, chased every lead. I thought I was one step away. But as soon as I got close, silence fell like a curtain. People vanished. Phones stopped ringing. Even those with selfies beside His Excellency went mute. "Why don't you try to meet a minister instead?" she whispered. "Why him? Because it's him who is rewriting the rules. Tell the full story or don't tell it at all." And so we drove again. 1.5 more hours, past red earth and low skies, past dry winds and burning bush, all to find out where the tomatoes came from, the very tomatoes that power a people's revolution. Because in a continent too often misrepresented, I promised myself this: no half-truths, no beautiful lies. If we're going to tell Africa's story, let's tell it whole. But as we made our way toward the tomato farms, the motorbike broke down. We waited in the heat, begging passing riders for a lift. This, I now understand, is what content never shows you: the frustration, the sweat, the breakdowns of both machine and spirit. And yet, what we found next made it worth it. The breadbasket of the Sahel: cashews, mangoes, peppers, onions, tomatoes. You name it, this land grows it. This part of Burkina is the breadbasket of West Africa, a local tells me. And he's right. But here's the difference: it's not just about growing crops, it's about transforming them. Adding value, building systems. At every stop, there's a road under construction. Why? Because when Traoré took power, the country had just 3,000 kilometers of paved roads since independence. Now we aim for 5,000 kilometers every single year. And here's the shocker: no foreign contractors, no World Bank tenders, no outsourced dreams. The government under Traoré's orders bought the machines, trained 400 young citizens to operate them. Every bulldozer, every excavator, every paving truck is handled by Burkinabés for Burkinabés, made by the people, for the people. I saw the finished tomato paste on shelves. Adia, Sufato, names born from the soul of the soil. In each label is a message: this is ours. Factories owned by everyday citizens. Some invested just 10,000 CFA, the price of a meal. Yet collectively they built a movement. No foreign investment, no debt, only belief. And they aren't stopping. A third factory is rising. And I find myself waiting not just to see its name, but to see if other African nations will have the courage to follow. One call away, the president was at a football match, someone told me. Audio was there. And so I reached for the final card in my deck. Asamoah Gyan, the former Black Stars captain, one of Ghana's most beloved athletes, had shared a stage with His Excellency. I made the call. "Give me 24 hours, he said. "I'll try." And now I wait. I stand at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, palms sweating, heart thundering. The building bears no flag, only expectation. Somewhere inside could be the passport to my dream, or another locked door. But I will not give up. Because if this story is about anything, it's about how belief, when planted deep enough, breaks concrete. A country under construction, a continent in waiting. From farms to factories, from roads to rows of tomato cans, Burkina Faso is not rising. It is resurrecting. And all of it hinges on a young president who refuses to read from someone else's script. A man who speaks without paper, builds without loans, and leads without apology. What does your country produce, I ask the world now? And do your people own it? Burkina Faso is not perfect, but it is the proof that Africa can build itself, without permission, without pity. A vibration in my pocket. A text. It's Ghan. He says yes, but there's a language barrier. He speaks French. Your translator gone. I stare at the message. A lifetime of effort boils into this moment. Bro, the call is here, but the words that come next will not be mine. The rest of the story still unfolding. I brought this outfit just in case. Just in case I met him. A crisp, tailored shirt. A bike-inspired outfit for the victory lap that never came. It wasn't for show. It was hope made wearable. And on my last day in Ouagadougou, I wore it anyway. Because if I was going to walk away without a meeting, I'd walk away prepared for one. The fabric of a nation woven by its own hands. Along the way, I discovered another miracle. Burkina Faso now makes its own milk products. Butter, cheese, yogurt, all born from local farms, processed in local plants, consumed by local people. 5 milk processing factories, one already functional in the heart of the capital. This is what happens when your leader believes in your people. And he doesn't just talk about sovereignty. He sews it into the very fabric of society. Judges and lawyers now wear robes woven from Burkinabe fabric. Students, every single one from primary to high school, don uniforms made only from local textiles. It's not just policy, it's identity. A daily revolution. The day I met the queen of Francophone YouTube. In the swirl of dusty roads and delayed dreams, fate dropped a gift, the biggest female YouTuber of the Francophone world. You inspired me, I said. It's my second time in Burkina, she smiled. I see change, not just in buildings, but in minds. She saw something I had felt every day, a country shedding its old skin. Colonial names gone. This boulevard used to be named after Charles de Gaulle, she told me, pointing at the wide avenue behind us. Now it's Captain Thomas Sankara Boulevard, from honoring oppressors to uplifting prophets. This is not symbolic, this is structural. Before, she added, people wanted to leave. Now they want to build. Delay is not denial. I never got the handshake. I never got the 5-minute audience with the man they call EB Excellence Burkina. But I got something else. I saw what vision looks like when it lives in factories, walks barefoot on farms, builds roads by hand, and speaks through uniforms sewn with pride. And though the cameras never caught a formal meeting, the country itself introduced me to its president through its people. I was here for 18 days, chasing a shadow and finding instead a revolution. And so until next time, I will return. Not for content, not for clicks, but because something is happening in Burkina Faso that the world must witness, that Africa must learn from, that history must record. Delay is not denial, I remind myself, stepping onto the plane. So to every dreamer reading this, whether you're trying to meet a president, build a factory, or change a nation, don't stop. Because sometimes the story isn't the handshake. Sometimes the story is everything that led up to it. If you made it this far, the narrator says, voice cracking at the edge of exhaustion and wonder, subscribe, like, share. Because this isn't just a video. This is a vision. And just before the screen fades to black, a whisper, goodbye for now. But I'll be back.